welcome to the show. Happy Friday. And it's so great to be here with you as we head into a 3-day weekend. It's pretty cool. Welcome to the show. For those who are brand new to In the Loop, I'm Winnie Sun, longtime financial pro, CNBC council member, Forbes contributor, and of course, host of Level Up as well. It is so great to be here, and especially because Greg Nibbler is joining us live. Greg, how are you today?
I am doing good. It's good to be here with you, Winnie, and hello to everybody. Yeah, for joining in here and be a part of it. Good to be back on a Friday, and yeah, thanks to all of you who are hopping in. I know we're on a bunch of platforms, so it's always great seeing comments as we go throughout the show. In case you don't know who I am, I'm Greg Nibbler, longtime tech reporter, also a host and producer for Fox 12 Oregon, so covering all kinds of stuff. But here on the show, I'm going to be talking about some tech. So I've got some things that we could discuss about some big announcements. Some of them you may have heard about, some of them you may not have. And then instead of robots this week, we're going with rockets. So I do have a rocket to talk about. So that's coming up though. But whatever people want to comment on as we go through, it's always great to see those and to hear what you think about what we're discussing, or if you have thoughts. And it's just great to be here with you, Whitney.
Oh, you're so kind, Greg. We missed you last week for sure. So it's so great to have you back. And yeah, rocket news, I think definitely I'm interested in hearing what you have to say about that. Well, let's talk about the markets. Currently, let me see, positive across the board, which is really good news. Currently, the Dow is up 89 points, NASDAQ up a whopping 180 points, and the S&P 500 is up 37 points as well. Now, the reason why this is such good news is if you were following yesterday's news, yesterday was actually the worst session of the Dow in all of this year. And actually the worst session since March of 2023. So really hard day on the financial markets yesterday. Now, despite some really great financial economic data that's coming out, and a lot of companies are reporting pretty decent earnings, there still continues to be a lot of concerns on when the Federal Reserve will actually start to cut interest rates. Now, a lot of people were saying July, but now people are saying it might not happen until the end of the year, close to like around September. They're saying. So those are some of the analyst expectations, and definitely that impacted the financial markets. And in fact, if you've been paying attention to the financial news, there's been a lot of humdrum, like bad news. People are some of the biggest people like Jamie Dimon and whatnot are just telling us that it's not the possibility of a correction and is pretty severe. So that being said, we're going to move on because I have a lot that I want to share with you currently on the realm of AI. We've been talking about AI quite a bit. Greg knows this sector so well, but I want to talk about some of the business aspects of this. There was an article that was shared just this week by Vox. Kelsey Piper shared this, in fact, talking about some leaked documents and NDA scandal coming out of OpenAI. Now, Greg, I know you are very familiar with OpenAI, but did you know that some of these employees who are departing the company were actually pressured to sign very tough, ugly NDAs or risk losing their vested equity, which is like quite uncommon in California, here in Silicon Valley. But now Sam Altman has had to come out, apologize, stating that he actually wasn't aware of the clawback provisions, and that he promised that OpenAI would never then claw back vested equity. That's a big no-no, despite the fact that the documents indicated that this might happen. I don't even see how that could be, how you could possibly not be given your vested equity. I mean, that seems like a big HR issue there.
Yeah, that seems, it seems like there would be something illegal in there, but I mean, I don't know. I'm not an attorney, but that's really shady at the very least of doing something like that, of threatening that back. I know, NDAs are pretty serious, especially when it comes to some of the software companies and the tech that they're learning, and, people switching to other jobs, but also, I don't know. Yeah, that seems very, very off. And also, I have a hard time believing that he didn't know about that.
Right.
That feels like I didn't know, now that it's public. But yeah, that's I don't know how you could really enforce something like that.
You can't. And then, they're saying that these documents were actually signed by Sam Altman and other
Yeah.
executives. And that's the thing is like when it comes to employee equity, which is could be in stock or should be, vested like options, that's a heavily regulated industry. I know I actually was part of it for many, many years, but I just can't see. But, employees who, especially younger employees who aren't familiar with their rights as employees could
Yeah.
have been pressured to sign these NDAs, which is the case. So employment law experts are really saying this is a big no-no. But yeah, that's in the realm of OpenAI, not so good. Um,
Yeah.
but speaking of things that are not so good, I wanted to talk about something else. I don't know if you heard, but Elon Musk had talked about in the news recently about how AI technology was going to make it so that our jobs that you and I do, Greg, like not just our jobs, but jobs in general of everybody's jobs, will then just be hobbies because AI is going to take over and just do everything. Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, I've definitely seen, I saw what he was talking about with that, and you know, it, that's the worry, right? That's the worry when it comes to AI, is that it
Mhm.
is going to end up taking our jobs. I actually got to talk about a little bit about that too in my segment for part of that. But yeah, it's changing so fast. I think it's really hard to say what exactly is going to happen. There's also people saying that, AI is not going to take all of our jobs, but someone who knows how to utilize AI may take your job.
Yeah.
And that's the other issue, is do you have to just, fully invest in it and get up to speed on it, or just accept the fact that AI may take over a lot of what we do? Or will it just be a great tool to free up time for all of us? I don't know. I think with how quickly things are changing, it's hard to completely anticipate exactly what's going to happen, but there's no doubt it's going to be making some major changes to everything soon. I mean, it already is,
Yeah.
right? We're seeing AI in everything now. And I think once people start to hone it, and once it gets to maybe not this iteration, but the next iteration,
Mhm.
I think things are going to start changing pretty quick.
Yeah, I think so too. I'm thinking of things that are changing pretty quick and making big news. In fact, the Department of Justice, this is also news that coming out this week, is talking about how they're suing Live Nation over their monopoly. As you know, Live Nation, a lot of sporting events, music events, live events. They're saying that Live Nation has such a monopoly and it's hurting consumers and violating antitrust laws. In fact, Live Nation, which manages over 400 artists, controls, they're saying, about 60% of concert promotion and dominates ticketing markets through Ticketmaster, which holds dominates the ticketing market through Ticketmaster, which holds 80% of major concert venue ticketing. So this is a big thing too. Talking about not being okay. Attorney General Merrick Garland is stating that Live Nation's practices do lead to higher costs for fans and actually fewer opportunities for artists on terms of where to sell their tickets and limited choices for venues and promoters and whatnot. So this is also a big one. They're saying the controversy over Ticketmaster's dominance actually was really highlighted when they botched Taylor Swift's ticket sales in 2022, which prompted a Senate hearing and increased scrutiny. Once again, the Taylor Swift effect is truly powerful and active as well. So that's another one that's happening, and that's been Biden administration's antitrust action. So hopefully that'll help us as well. But I don't know. I mean, talk about changes, talking about not only AI, but now making sure that things are more fair and there's more competition so that it betters Americans and probably people outside of our borders as well. But the last sort of share that I want to do is to really talk a little bit about travel. Because as many of you know, it's a 3-day weekend coming up starting tomorrow. And that means it's Memorial Day weekend. And so many of you may be traveling. And there was a story that came out on USA Today talking about, once again, record travel numbers of 44 million people who are expected to travel over this long weekend, which is the highest in almost 20 years, which just kind of gives us an idea of how busy this summer travel season is going to be. So, to give you an idea, they're expecting 3.5 people to fly, and nearly 2 million people are going to use transportation such as buses, cruises, and trains, but 38 million of us are expected to be traveling by car. So if you're going to be traveling by car, just plan and just be patient. I mean, it looks like I see a lot of numbers coming out of AAA. If you're not sure like where to go to AAA's website. They're talking about the best hours of travel. Most of them aren't hours that you're probably going to want to travel at, but that's going to be a little bit better. But before I teed off to Greg, I had to share something that I thought was so much fun. And this is Bark Air. Now, I feel like Bark Air is just so fun because they're just sharing their news coming out. So Bark Air has now started at Van Nuys Airport here in Southern California and offering pet owners like Greg an very special experience to travel with your pet. Now, you may know that, many airlines do allow animals to travel, but sometimes the animal needs to be in a crate or a cage, and it's just like limitations. And of course, people might give you the slant eye, like, you have a big dog. What are you doing? Well, this is to combat that. Bark Air is aviation made for pet owners, offering a unique travel experience for pet owners. This airline is catering to owners who prefer not to put their pets in these carriers or crates and allowing dogs truly to have a comfortable flying experience with their human family members. So these are private jets that Bark Air operates. Gulfstream G5 jets, by the way, which are luxurious and having special travel experiences. And you can even have what they call a white paw experience, which is premium service, including quick check-in processes, on onboard amenities like what do dogs want? Like lavender scented refreshment towels and music, of course. And dogs are served water or, get this, Greg, bone broth during takeoff and landing to help with their ear pressure changes. What do you think about this?
I think that's awesome. I wonder how much that's going to cost, because I don't know if I'm going to pay for my dog to get first class service when I'm not getting first class service.
I mean, both,
But
well, Greg.
but that would be pretty fun. I would love to go on one of these. I mean, my dog's like 100 pounds, so I don't know if there's a there's a limit.
I don't think
But
so. I
looking
don't
at
think there's
those
a limit.
videos, that looks pretty amazing.
Yeah. So, okay. So, give you an idea of pricing since we're talking about that.
Mhm.
So, currently, Bark Air offers flights from New York to LA, right? And New York to London, because these are saying this, the most
Wow.
popular flights, right? So, if you're looking to bring your dog to London, you probably go to New York and then jump on a flight from New York to London. But here's the drum roll element. Prices do start at $6,000 for a flight to New York. But this will be luxurious and comforting, and your dog will never have flown this way before.
I'm sure. I think Bowie might be skipping the flight to New York for this one. He might be missing that $6,000. Oh my gosh! But I mean, that is, there's going to be enough people that'll probably it'll work at least to LA to New York. I don't know about going to London. How many people fly with their dogs to London?
I
That
guess
seems
a
kind of,
lot, right? I mean,
yeah, yeah. That also seems like if you're going there for vacation or work, that's a lot to have to
it's a
have
lot.
a
Like
dog there. But
I was looking at taking the family over to Asia, right? And I was like, that's higher than the price to Asia for a human passenger. Um,
right,
I think even on business. So yeah, maybe I don't know, but I know there's going to be people. I know there's going to be
yeah,
people in LA, and I bet you there's people in New York who
yep,
will pay that, who will just be like, okay, that's worth it. But then my question would be this: if they're willing to pay that type of a tab, wouldn't they be able to just afford their own private jet? I don't know.
right. For six, yeah, that at that price. I mean, I guess I don't know what exactly a private jet would cost from New York to LA. But if you're getting into $6,000 just for that one seat on there,
Mhm.
you probably have enough to just spring for the next level, I would think.
Right, right.
But I mean, good for them. I do love the idea.
Yeah, I think if you're a pet lover, this is awesome. I would love to see them do like because I've heard that people talking about like doing like family planes where it's like all families and then
Oh,
and I'm sure people who don't have families or don't have kids would like a child-free flight. It'd be interesting to see because I would think that would do well as well. But I guess it depends on the price. Yeah.
yeah, it does. I mean, I know there was was it Singapore Airlines or I can't remember which one it was. Was that did have a child free flight option that you could take?
Probably Virgin would do it. Virgin has that child-free cruise that looks really fun.
Oh yeah, yeah. That's yeah. Yeah, for those people without kids, that it does help out, which is me. Um, so yeah, I mean, there's options for everybody, but Bark Air, wow,
Bark
$6,000
Air.
though. That's
Sounds cool. I had to share that with you because I know,
Bowie's going to be skipping that trip. That's all.
unless Bark Air needs someone to, report on this.
Now
Definitely
there we go. Now
that's
if we want to
right.
sample this. You want to get me down to LA, and then we'll fly to New York, and I will bring Bowie on that trip the entire way. So,
And film the whole thing.
whole thing, absolutely. Yeah, if you want to show that a big dog can go go on those, then I got the dog for you. Uh, awesome. Well, should I jump into some of the stuff that I have?
Please, I wanna hear what you've got to share today.
Well, it's more on the AI side of things. So, continuing on with some new product launches, we are starting to get into that season. So, we've had a few things from Samsung. I expect some more. There might be some more Apple news coming out soon. But in the meantime, Microsoft has announced their new laptops, their line of the Surfaces, and the laptops themselves look pretty good. They did some speed tests with them. So as far as the hardware side of things, they're really trying to go right at Apple, because obviously Apple's had some pretty good machines for quite a while, and using their M line of chips, they've been pretty fast. But now Microsoft is saying they have caught up and maybe even faster for some things. That's a big step for Microsoft, and I think it's good all around. Get some more competition in there, have some more laptops that get up to those levels. I will say I switched away from a Microsoft because I started having issues with video editing. I went to the Apple, and it works pretty well. Works pretty good on it. This is my first Mac laptop that I do have right here. But Microsoft's coming back up, and if they can keep up and be on par, that's great. But the other side of things is, as we've been mentioning, AI, incorporating more AI into things. So this is part of Microsoft's you're basically incorporating more of Chat GPT, which in OpenAI, which they have a big stake in. And this is called Copilot. So there it is right there. The Copilot, it acts. So part of it is what you can use for yourself, in that it's going to recall everything that you do on your laptop. That means that if you are, say, searching for something, or you don't remember where you stored a file, it's going to be interactive, and it's going to learn what you do. It will remember what you did on your laptop 3 months ago. It will remember where you put that file, or remember this time of day, normally you like to do this, or you like to have this looked up. And if, say, you had a chat on on Teams or Slack or something like that, but you can't remember where it is, it'll be able to find that for you. So those are just little examples of what it's going to be able to do. And we can talk about that, whether that's good or not. But the other part is doing tasks. It can automate more tasks. So like that virtual employee type of things. This is for more the enterprise and commercial use cases, where you're going to have this AI, this Copilot, be able to maybe scan some incoming emails. Say you've got a business where normally an employee is answering those emails. It'll be able to scan those emails, and some of this stuff is already out there, but this will do it even to a bigger level. Scan those emails and be like, oh, I know what the right reply is to this. And it'll just automatically handle all that stuff. That's one example that they gave out, but there will be that and a lot more. So again, AI on everything, but this is Microsoft incorporating it into even more, and having that recall function. Winnie, what do you think about that? Having a laptop that just remembers everything you've ever done.
Greg, I'm sure I'm sure part of that makes you feel a little creepy, a
Yeah.
little bit ick. But then, like, if you think about the broad picture, I do think this is where everything is going towards. Now, I know you're running on a Mac. I'm on a Mac right now, and we know that OpenAI AI just gave us that download for Macs that works actually very, very well. I do think that. There's still a lot of like hesitation, I think, for mainstream America to
Uh-huh.
completely go all in on AI. But I do think there's really nothing to stop it at this point. I do think it's going to get to a point where we're going to enjoy the convenience of searching emails really quickly, documents really quickly, right? And so we're going to have to be comfortable with giving up, I think, some, unfortunately, some privacy for that convenience. It just looks like we're going in that direction. I mean, I even see now. Actually, Greg, I will say this, so we have a family of five. I have three kids, and we were just sitting at the kitchen table. Yes, that's last night for dinner, and my husband was asking me like, have you tried such and such aspect of open AI school? I'm like, yeah, I have. And then all three of my kids, including the 10-year-olds, like, oh, I tried it too, Daddy. And he was just like, wow, I'm the only one who hasn't tried it. But I do think that that is the direction we're going, where we expect everything to be streamlined. If the technology is available to deliver that for us, I think we
Yeah.
got to be okay with it.
Yeah. I mean, it's the way things are going. So, I mean, a lot of that aspect could be really good. I mean, just their example of, if there's projects that I worked on, maybe I put something in a wrong folder, or a file
Yeah,
and I can't find it. And then you have to go through all your stuff and find it. It'll
totally.
just pull it back up. Like you won't have to worry about that stuff anymore. Or, um, like I can't remember what document this was in, from what time, and you'll just talk to it. It'll be conversational and it'll find that for you. It'll pull that up. So yeah, I think there's going to be a lot of convenience in this. And as you mentioned, it's kind of creepy that it recalls everything. So maybe there's some settings you can put on there if you really wanted to. But yeah, the convenience factor, I think once you start trying that, it's probably going to be pretty nice.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I
And it's
agree.
what's happening no matter what.
It's what's
Now, as far as the employee side of things, that's another one. I mean, it's inevitable. It's going to start handling some of that stuff. They're positioning it, saying it's just going to free up employees to do more important work. We'll see. We'll see how that all
I think
shakes
that's
out.
some marketing. I don't know about that. If the AI is going to eliminate a dramatic amount of jobs, I mean,
Yeah.
it's just the reality. And you may say that humans would do more and more important jobs, but what are those important jobs?
Yeah.
And there's only so many people that you need to run AI.
Yep.
And what about all the people that have been in, working for 10, 20 years? You're going to go back to school to learn something new? I don't know that you need that many people.
Yeah. Yeah, exactly. So I mean, it's going to be interesting. And this is really, we're only a couple years into this, and we're
Mm-hmm.
at the very, very, very beginning of it. But it's so exponentially changing that we'll have to see where it all goes. But this is the new one from Microsoft. The other part of this is it's basically they're trying to get ahead of whatever Apple's probably going to announce in September, because that they're working on something, some kind of expanded use of Siri or AI. So that's going to happen at some point. So maybe this is Microsoft just jumping ahead there. And that's part of what their whole investment was there for OpenAI. But that's the AI side of things. Let's go to still using some AI, but more focused on the human side of things as far as physical health. And it is the Amazfit Helio Ring. So this is something that was announced, I believe it was earlier this year at CES, but now it's finally rolling out. So there's a lot of rings that are out there. There's the Aura ring. Samsung's got a fitness ring. This one is from Amazfit, and you can see it right there. I do like the look of it. It does look pretty cool. But this is going to be able to track all kinds of stuff as far as health. It'll be able to give you recommendations on what to do. It comes in, let's see, 10 and 12 sizes. So hopefully it fits your finger. I don't know if that'll fit my finger. I've got some weird big fingers, but it's something that, I think more and more people are going to be open to trying some of this, to trying out the ring. And sorry, I was taking a look at my notes there, to trying out the ring and matching it up. If you have a smartwatch, you can match it up with that, but it is really unobtrusive. It's something that can monitor all of that health data. And that, to me, the health technology side of things, that's something that I'm always pro. Anything that can help monitor issues or catch them before it happens, before something goes on, something that can monitor your blood pressure and maybe say like, hey, you might have an issue here. You should see a doctor. I love that side of things, but also, you'll get the workout stuff. You'll get the sleep advice. So a lot of it all packed in to that ring right there. This thing is going to start off, I believe it's $299, but there's going to be, or $200, but there's a deal for $150 that you can get it for a special deal if you get it like pre-ordered. So a good price on that. But generally speaking, it does seem like all of these rings are right around that $300 range is what they're going to end up being. But Winnie, how do you feel about this kind of wearable technology? Would you wear a smart ring?
I would, and I would have my husband wear one too. I
Yeah.
do love the like I agree with you wholeheartedly. I love the features that Apple Watch has brought so far.
Yeah.
And I think that I think the more early detection, the better. I mean, we've all had family members that have had issues, right? And we have loved ones that we would love to be able to monitor their health. And you're right. I mean, this is very unintrusive and it
Mhm.
looks pretty cool, but even if it were uglier, if you're able to know ahead of time, like you said, your blood
Right.
pressure is changing or something being off, like what would you pay for that? And 299, yeah, it's not cheap, but it's I think it's a lot more affordable than some of the other stuff that we've talked about on the show for sure, right?
Mhm.
And like you said, it's a lot easier to wear a ring than it is to wear glasses and headset and all that stuff.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, especially as long as it fits and it's right there, get all that details. Um, and I don't know specifically on this one. I know with Apples, you can pair it with a lot more health issues and have your doctor, have access to that kind of stuff. I'm all for that. Like as long as it's obviously privacy is a huge thing and the software side of things and protecting your data and all of that. But aside from that side of things, I think being able to share that with a doctor, I mean, you go in for your appointment and they can just take a look and be like, oh, okay, here's a synopsis of your last 3 months, of, oh, what happened here? Okay, that's just an anomaly, but here's a trend, and they can just look at that data and have that
Hmm.
info right in front of them and know what's going on, or even if it catches some issue and it can just be an alert like, hey, something's happening here, or this is of concern. That's
Get
all great stuff as far as I'm concerned. That's a really great use of technology.
For sure, for
Yeah.
sure. Love it.
So
Thank you for sharing that. I didn't even
yeah.
it didn't hit my radar. Mhm.
Yeah, and I think there's more of those rings coming out. Samsung has theirs coming out. There's the Aura one that's been out there for a while. I'm sure Apple will at some point have
I'm
something
sure
along these
Apple
lines.
is working on this, yeah.
Yeah, yeah. Apple's always, generally speaking, now with tech, they wait. They wait until everybody tests out everything and sees what works and what doesn't work and what people actually like, and then they'll make something really amazing but not have to spend all the money on everybody else testing it out on the public. So it's smart. But yes, I'm sure we'll get something from Apple along those lines as well. Okay, going from that, I have one more thing, and not robots this week, but we're going to talk about rockets. And it's another launch of Starship. So this is still continuing these test launches. And Starship is the gigantic ship that SpaceX has been working on. This is the one that's going to eventually, in their words, take people to the moon and to Mars. But a lot of work to be done on it. So they've done 3 of these launches so far. This is the biggest rocket that's, I believe, ever been made, and we'll get to watch this live. I do really appreciate how SpaceX broadcasts their successes and their failures right to you. So the previous ones that we've seen, they've all exploded, and there's no people on these. So there's no people on these. One of them, I believe, didn't even make it off to launch. The other 2, another one of them made it for a little while, and then they had to self-destruct it or had to destruct it, and then the third one did the same thing, but each one went further and further. So the last one broke up, re-entering the atmosphere. This one, they're hoping is going to survive that, and they'll see where it goes. But that's part of the process. They know the likelihood of these things completely working isn't going to happen, but each iteration gets better and better and better, and they learn from their mistakes, and they have the money and the ability to do that. So the 4th launch, it's probably going to be, as far as anticipation right now, is sometime before June 5th. So it could be coming up here pretty quick. We don't have an exact date, and those dates can move and hedge and haw a little bit depending on several different things. But that's going to be a big launch, especially if it successfully gets up into the atmosphere, comes back down, and they can land it. That'll be a huge moment. And if not, then a rocket's going to explode and nobody's really going to be hurt at all. Well, nobody will be hurt because there's no humans involved on there. And that's kind of fun to watch too. So we'll see what happens. But regardless, I will definitely be watching this launch, and just know that this is one of those stepping stones towards something that's bigger, something that's going to be happening where, like I mentioned, it'll be sending people back to the moon, sending people to Mars eventually. This is the system that all that's going to be based on. So historically speaking, it's a pretty big deal. And even if not historically speaking, it's fun to watch. So I'll definitely be checking that out. So I want to get that on everybody's radar.
That's amazing, Greg. We'll definitely check that out. Thank you so much for putting on our radar. Yeah, talk about like so many things are happening right now. It's an exciting time to be sharing on the show, but also to be living during these times with AI and now these
Yeah.
rockets, huge rockets. And you're right. Like unfortunately, it does take trial and error, right? And trial and error in this place isn't quite error. At least you're not killing people, but
Right.
yeah, a lot of man hours and money is going to be going into that. But I guess that's necessary for us to take that next step.
Yep. It's all a learning process, and they learn something from each one of these. They know the likelihood of it working is not, it's not great, but each time it's gotten better and better. So I'm excited to see what they've done with this fourth one. And yeah, definitely do it this way before you start putting people on those things. Exactly. So I would prefer they would work it out as much as needed until it's absolutely perfect.
Yeah,
and
absolutely.
We'll see. But eventually there will be some people on those. So
maybe Boeing should take a note on that.
What's that?
I said Boeing should take a note on that right
now. Oh, yeah. They were supposed to have their launch several different times. It's been postponed, and now it's indefinitely postponed. So they were actually going to be sending people up into space, 2 astronauts, for their Starliner launch. And eventually, as far as I know, it's just indefinitely off now.
Well, yeah, because I feel like they need to get their planes in order too, and then
Yeah, the Boeing's having a rough one. That is for sure.
Hopefully things get better.
Yeah, we'll see. Sure. But that's what I've got for this week. Just wanted to share some of those things and have some discussions and find out what everybody thinks. So please, everybody, feel free to reach out to me anytime. Let me know what you think about some of these topics, or if you have something else you want to share or that we don't cover that you think is really cool, please send those links. I always appreciate getting those.
Absolutely. We have a huge community joining us today live. So thanks so much for being here before the 3-day weekend. We hope you have a beautiful weekend, a safe weekend, an enjoyable one, and hopefully you get a little time to relax. And then we'll look forward to seeing you again next week for In the Loop.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah. Have a good weekend. And thank you to all the veterans out there for your service and all that. And yeah, have a good one. I guess we'll talk next week.
Take care. Take care, everybody. Bye-bye.
Bye.